They told us we were free. But what if freedom was the first lie? We wake up to alarms we didn't set, rush to jobs we don't love, work for companies we don't own, to earn money we don't keep, to buy things we don't need, just to distract ourselves from lives we can't escape. We call this freedom, but it feels like a cage dressed in luxury. We were born into a system that never asked for our permission. It gave us rules, roles, timelines. It told us what success looks like and punished us the moment we stepped out of line. Go to school, get a degree, chase a job, take the loan, make the payments, grow old, die tired. Somewhere in between, we're told we're free. But free to do what? Choose which corporation consumes our time, which brand sells us identity, which screen we rot behind. We were handed a contract we never signed. One that says, if you want to live, you must sell your life, 1 hour at a time. And the most sinister part? We celebrate it. We compete inside it. We call it ambition. We romanticize burnout. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. This is not survival. It's sedation. A system built to keep us busy enough to never ask, who benefits from this? Because someone does. Someone profits when we believe that consumption is happiness. Someone gains when we equate productivity with worth. Someone thrives when we mistake wage slavery for freedom. This isn't conspiracy. It's structure. It's an economy built to reward the top by feeding off the bottom. And most of us, we're not climbing the ladder. We're holding it up. The truth, we don't own our time. We lease it cheaply. We don't own our labor. It's extracted, monetized, discarded. And yet, we are told this is freedom. But Karl Marx had another word for it: exploitation. And long before him, Adam Smith called it something else: the invisible hand. Two men, two visions of how the world works. One sees the market as our path to liberation. The other sees it as our quiet enslavement. But before we choose a side, we need to see the battlefield we're already standing on. Because if we don't, we'll keep mistaking the chains for choices. Adam Smith said, "Let the market guide us." But who does it really serve? Before capitalism became a machine, it was an idea. And that idea came from Adam Smith. He believed that freedom doesn't begin in government halls or royal courts. It begins in the market. Let people act in their own interest, he said. Let them buy, sell, trade without interference, and something miraculous will happen. The economy will shape itself. No kings, no priests, no masters. Just the invisible hand, guiding everyone through their own self-interest to the common good. It sounds beautiful, empowering, even fair. Smith believed that when each person chases profit, it leads to progress. That when the butcher, the baker, the blacksmith work for their own gain, society benefits as a whole. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher or the brewer that we expect our dinner, he wrote, but from their regard to their own interest. To Smith, this wasn't selfishness. It was realism. A world where people are free to pursue what they value. A world where competition drives innovation and prices find themselves without coercion. He believed markets weren't just efficient, they were moral, because they gave people choice, and choice meant freedom. But here's the problem. Smith imagined a world of small merchants and honest work. He never saw Amazon, or banks too big to fail, or billionaires lobbying laws while their workers skip meals. He didn't live to see capitalism without conscience. where profit doesn't just motivate, it dominates, where the invisible hand becomes a clenched fist, squeezing the life out of those at the bottom, while those at the top rewrite the rules. Because in today's world, self-interest isn't evenly matched. Some people have capital, some people have time, and in this game, time is sold. But capital rules. What Smith saw as a path to freedom has become a system where a few walk freely, and the rest sell freedom just to survive. Still, his dream was powerful. A world where no king tells us how to live, where no central force dictates what we must become, where we are free to rise based on will, effort, talent. But Smith underestimated one thing: how far people will go when profit is the only god. Because when the market becomes sacred, exploitation becomes invisible, justified, normalized. And those who suffer? They're told it's their fault. They didn't hustle hard enough. They didn't adapt. But someone saw through that lie. Someone who didn't worship the market, but exposed it. And that man was Karl Marx. Smith believed profit creates progress. Marx believed profit creates victims. Adam Smith gave us the myth of freedom. Karl Marx came to tear off the mask. He didn't see the market as a miracle. He saw it as a machine, cold, efficient, inhuman. A machine powered not by innovation, but by extraction. Extraction of labor, extraction of time, extraction of life itself. To Marx, capitalism was never a neutral system. It was a structure of control, a hierarchy where one class lives by owning, and the other survives by selling everything they have, including themselves. Wages weren't freedom. They were just the price of submission. You don't own your labor. You rent it at a discount. And at the end of the month, after the hours, the exhaustion, the obedience, you still don't own anything. The tools, not yours. The building, not yours. The product, not yours. Even the time you spent creating it was stolen and sold back to you in the form of survival. Marx called this alienation. We are cut off from our labor, from meaning, from each other. We become gears in a machine we don't control. And the worst part? We've been taught to thank the machine for letting us exist inside it. Marx believed this wasn't just inefficient. It was violent, not with guns, but with contracts, not with prisons, but with paychecks. Because when one man owns the factory, and another man's child starves if he doesn't obey, that's not freedom. That's coercion wearing a suit and tie. And the market? It doesn't care. It rewards whoever extracts the most, regardless of cost. Profit is not earned by value. It's earned by exploitation. And the system runs best when we forget that. Marx believed the working class, the proletariat, held all the real power. Because without their hands, their sweat, their time, nothing gets built. But they're kept divided, distracted, tired, taught to fight each other rather than the system itself. So Marx didn't write just to criticize. He wrote to ignite. He believed the world could be remade, where workers own what they build, where value isn't extracted, it's shared, where labor means dignity, not obedience. The philosophers have only interpreted the world, he wrote. The point, however, is to change it. Marx didn't hate wealth. He hated how it was built, how it was hoarded, how it became a wall between those who live and those who are merely allowed to survive. He saw through the illusion. The invisible hand wasn't lifting us up. It was tightening around our throats. Smith gave us a dream of freedom through trade. Marx saw the chains hidden in the contract. Here, point-by-point breakdown. Freedom against slavery. Now we place them side by side. Adam Smith, the dreamer of liberty. Karl Marx, the architect of revolt. One believed the market would free us. The other believed the market was our cage. This is not just a disagreement about economics. It's a war over what freedom really means. Number 1. Self-interest versus class struggle. Smith believed self-interest is not greed. It's natural law. If everyone pursues their own benefit, the invisible hand balances it out. No central control, no manipulation, just flow. But Marx looked deeper. He saw self-interest as a mask, because not all interests are equal. The owner's profit comes from the worker's exhaustion. The landlord's wealth comes from someone else's rent. To Marx, self-interest doesn't balance, it divides. It becomes class warfare, disguised as opportunity. Smith, your gain can lift others. Marx, your gain is built on others. Number 2, ownership versus labor. Smith believed in private property. To own is to be free. It gives us incentive, security, legacy. But Marx saw a darker truth. When a few own everything, the many own nothing, not even their time. Ownership becomes a weapon, land becomes leverage, and labor becomes servitude. Smith, own more, earn more. Marx, until ownership owns you. Number 3, freedom to trade versus freedom from exploitation. Smith believed trade liberates. That voluntary exchange is the core of human cooperation. No force, no rulers, just people choosing what they value. But Marx asked, what happens when there's no real choice? When the only job available is one that drains you? When the voluntary exchange is life or starvation? That's not freedom, that's economic coercion. Smith, markets empower. Marx, markets disguise power. Number 4, individualism versus collective power. Smith trusted the individual. He believed that when left alone, people will innovate, compete, and build a better world. But Marx believed isolation is the tool of control. Divide the workers, and they can't resist. Make them compete, and they forget who their enemy is. He didn't want to erase the individual. He wanted to unite them, to create a force that could push back. Smith, one man can change his life. Marx, many must change the system. Number 5, it's market versus machine. Smith imagined a living economy, adaptive, dynamic, human. But Marx saw a machine, cold, mechanical, indifferent, a system that doesn't care how many lives it consumes, as long as the gears keep turning. And the more efficient it becomes, the more human beings become replaceable. Smith saw opportunity. Marx saw automation, alienation, and eventual collapse. So where does that leave us? Do we believe in the freedom to climb, even if the ladder is built on someone else's back? Or do we tear down the ladder and ask if we were meant to climb at all? Because if Smith was right, then freedom is a market transaction. But if Marx was right, then freedom cannot be sold. It must be taken back. One man gave us a dream. The other gave us a warning. And now we're living inside both. We were promised freedom, the freedom to earn, the freedom to choose, the freedom to rise. But in chasing that freedom, what did we trade away? We traded time. We spend the best hours of our lives behind screens, under deadlines, chasing promotions that come wrapped in burnout. We traded connection. Community became competition. Families became co-workers in survival. Friendships became networking tools. We traded purpose. We don't build. We don't create. We perform. We optimize. We scroll through distraction to survive the emptiness we don't know how to name. And when we feel that weight, we're told to hustle harder, buy more, smile, be grateful. But somewhere deep in our bones, we feel it. Something was taken from us, not by a dictator, not by a war, but by a system that told us, sell your time, sell your energy, and you'll be free. And we believed it, because the chains weren't cold iron. They were warm routine, wrapped in comfort, disguised as opportunity. We didn't lose our freedom in one moment. We lost it one paycheck at a time. And now we're left asking, was it worth it? Adam Smith taught us how to move forward. Karl Marx warned what happens if we never stop to look back. Which freedom do we want? Adam Smith believed freedom meant choice, the ability to trade, to earn, to climb. Karl Marx believed freedom meant ownership of time, of labor, of life itself. But maybe the real question isn't whose idea was better. Maybe the question is, which freedom are we living? And is it the one we actually want? Because freedom that costs our health isn't freedom. Freedom that isolates us isn't freedom. Freedom that demands we sell ourselves every day for decades is just a prettier kind of slavery. Maybe Smith gave us the dream, and Marx gave us the mirror, and now we're the ones left staring into it, trying to decide if we still believe in the system we've been told to survive in, or if it's time to stop surviving and start remembering what freedom was supposed to feel like.